Hello, students. And as you know, we will be starting a new unit called Financial Goals. Um, this is going to be focusing on budgeting, on money matters, financial planning, etc. Most of the time, we hear talk about future money planning. People think, oh, this is for the future. I'm going to plan for the future. But it's really important that you start planning now, that you start learning or reviewing how to create a budget and sticking to it. And so that's what we're going to do for this lesson. So we're going to do it a different way. Most of the time I'm in the classroom talking and talking, but with this, you're going to watch this video. It's a YouTube video, and I will be emailing you to all of you the URL so that you know what is the URL for the video. And it's how to set a budget and stick to it. It is about only like 5.5 minutes, so it's not long. It doesn't have loud music or anything like that. It's very straightforward and I think very informative for you guys. So this is the lesson. You have to watch the video. As you're watching the video, I'd like for you to take some notes. There are going to be a few steps that he's going to go through and show on how to set a budget and stick to it. And I wanted to kind of react to those steps and what do you think about them? So just little notes. It's nothing, it's not that I'm going to grade it or anything. I just want to write it and we'll just discuss it in the next class when we meet again. Also, if you have, I want you to write down 3 that really stuck with you and that you think you could do of those steps to how to set up a budget. And if you have your own ideas or your own steps or your own skills that you're doing on how to set in your budget making, you can write those as well. So write those down. After you watch the video, I want you to then go to 2 of the sheets that I'm going to give you, which has different scenarios. And so in the video, the narrator talks about fixed expenses and variable expenses that are right here. This is the first scenario for Nate, and he's a junior in high school. And so we get to see what's going on with him. He works 15 hours a week at the mall, and his net income, which is after taxes, is $600 a month. And then it talks about how he lives with his parents, so he doesn't have to pay any utility or food expenses or rent because he's living with his parents. And his scenario also includes that he has an older brother who owns a car and lets him borrow it to drive to work for $100 each month, because otherwise Nate would have to take the bus. So his goal is to purchase a car. He wants to buy a car. And so he's putting all his leftover money towards savings, but he also pays his cell phone and personal expenses, such as going to movies, buying video games, and purchasing gifts. Below is Nate's estimated budget and what he actually spent in 1 month's time. So what you're going to do after watching the video, you're going to look at this and you're going to analyze Nate's spending to determine why he's not on track to save for that new car and what changes he can make to get on track. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at his fixed expenses. He's saving for a car, the savings for a car, his budget goals, and what's actually in his budget right now for that. And we see that is 0. So right here on the side, you're going to make a little note and you're going to put if he's under or over in that budget that he's planning. So here we see it's 0. So he's in the negative, right? For his goal for savings for a car. So then you're going to go down to cell phone and you see that his budget goal is to pay $75, but he's actually paying 100. So here you're going to put, well, he's over, and then the amount that he's over. And you're just going to write it here on the side that corresponds with each box. Then when you're done with the fixed expenses, and you'll see in the video what the fixed expenses are, you're going to go into the variable expenses for Nate, okay? And you're going to do the same thing over on the side. And then when we get to class, we'll discuss. That's why it's really important that you watch the video at home and that you that you complete the worksheet so that we when we get to class, we're going to discuss and see what's he doing and how can he get on track. And what you're going to do also when you're finished looking at his expenses and writing down on the side, how is he doing for those expenses? So you can write down here something, an idea that you might give Nate that he can do to get back on track with some of these expenses. I mean, you could just jot down those notes right here and we'll discuss that in class, okay? Now, the next scenario, we're going to skip scenario number 2, but we're going to go into scenario number 3, which is Jamal. He's a senior in high school, and he works 30 hours per week at a neighborhood coffee shop. And his net income after taxes is $1,500. And he's saving up for college. So he owns a car and makes payments toward it each month, but he lives with his parents, so he saves on rent, utilities, and food costs, almost just like Nate. He occasionally goes out with friends and buys things for himself, but he tries to hold back on these things so he can save more money for college next year. So this is his estimated budget and what he's actually spending in 1 month's time. So you're going to do the same thing for Jamal. You're going to analyze his spending to see why he's not on track to meet his goals. So his goal is to save money, right, for college. So you're going to look at his fixed expenses, college savings. He's got $870 in his budget that he'd like to have. But in actuality, so right now, currently, he only has $820. So the same thing here. You're going to put, what is he? Is he over an amount or under an amount? And you're going to write down that amount. So yes, that includes doing the math and finding the answer for the math. Yes. All right, and so you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go here for the variable expenses and do the same thing that we did in the scenario for Nate. You're going to do the same thing for Jamal. And you're going to put the number right here on the side as the under, over. You can use the plus or the negative sign in front of the number to see. And then here, just jot down what can he do to get himself back on track. Just little notes. You can do it in bullet form and then just do a bullet with your pen and then just put, okay, he can save less on spend less on entertainment. He can spend less on personal shopping. Whatever it is that you think that it would be something that would increase his savings, you're just going to write it down right here, okay? And you can do it in bullet form, and we will be discussing that in when we get to our next class. Okay, so please make sure, it's really important that you watch the video. The video has a lot of terms, the fixed expenses, the variable expenses. So it's really important that you do watch the video, how to set budget and stick to it, that you go to, I'm gonna forward here a little bit. He goes through different steps, the narrator, and I want you to go through each step and then just write down little notes on your own of what steps you would use from the video that the narrator's using, and steps that you might also suggest and write it down also. We're going to go over that in class. I want you to honestly tell me, like, what did you think about the video? Was it something that was helpful for you? Were the steps clear? But we're going to go over all of that in class. And you can have a time, an opportunity to go to just from your seat, just give your thought on the video and the planning. Also, when we're done with the sheets and when we're done reviewing Nate and Jamal's planning and their budgeting and how we can get them on track for their budget planning, we're going to go over, I want you to make a list of your fixed and variable expenses. So I want you to do that. We're going to do that in class. So in a group, you're going to sit down and break down in groups, and you're going to go over your fixed expenses and your variable expenses. So you need to watch the video so you can know the difference between the two, and then you're going to write them down. You don't have to make a huge list. You're not going to make a huge list. You're just going to write down, what are your fixed expenses? Like, what are the expenses that you have every time, every month, that do not change? And then what are the variable expenses? And we'll discuss those, and we'll go through all of those as a group after you work in your different groups of getting to find out what are your fixed expenses and your variable expenses. And then you're going to put a number on what you think you're spending on it, okay? And we're going to have a discussion on all of this. But it's, like I said before, it's really important that you watch the video, that you watch it completely. It's a really short video. You can watch it on your cell phone or on your tablet. So it's a very short video. Watch it, write down some of the steps that are important to you, 3 of them at least, that really call to you, that really call your attention, and then put some of your um, steps that you would include there that would work for you, your personal ones, because we can share them. We're going to share them in the class, and maybe that'll give someone else an idea, and maybe you can get an idea from someone else on how to, stick with your budget, because we can all create a budget, but the important thing is to actually stick with it, right? And be on goal with our plans. So this is what we're going to do for next class. I hope that you remember the steps, watch the video, write down some of the steps, 3 of the steps at least that you see that call to your attention. Write some of your own. It could be just one. If you just have one, then do the 2 scenarios, Nate and Jamal. Write down if they're over or under in each expense that they have, and then just jot down some ideas that you do for each student and how they can get on track with their budget. And then when we come back to class, we're going to break into groups, and you're going to create a list of your fixed expenses and your variable expenses. All right. And I will see you in class next time. Good luck. If you have any issues or anything, please don't hesitate to email me. And happy budget creating.